Furina, a brand new character, an Archon, and an evolution of all Hydro characters added before. Now why is that? Today I will explain. Let's start with her kit. So we already got a broken character by just switching the elemental burst with elemental skill, and you also give her some support abilities that work incredibly well, while her elemental burst drains the HP of your characters and buffing them in return. And with Furina being so broken, the only thing we're missing is her team comps, which happens not to be a problem with Furina, as much as it would with some hyper carry. Like Zhao really needs his specific team to actually work, because Zhao can't work without animal battery. Or Hu Tao, that really depends on her Zhongli, because she has to be in low HP. And since we are on topic of Hu Tao, let us talk about Hu Tao Furina team, aka the best team in the game basically. So amongst the genshin community, Hu Tao was known for a long time as the best DPS in the game, and now that they added Furina, she's probably even more broken. Throughout time, Hu Tao's teams evolved a lot, and they changed how Hydro works entirely. They made the broken support even more broken. Its elemental resonance now gives 25% HP bonus. Because of that, Hu Tao teams tend to return to double Hydro instead of double Geo, as long as you can utilize double Hydro without having a lack of Hydro characters in your second team. So teams like Tao, Zhongli, Xingqiu and Yelan were quite popular, and now we also got Furina, which not only buffs and applies Hydro for Hu Tao, but she also drains her HP, which is literally what you try to do with Hu Tao for the entire time, because Hu Tao really needs to be on low HP to function. So basically what they did is reverse Kokomi. They gave us a ton of Hydro appliance, and instead of a bunch of healing, which is literally everything she does, both elemental skill and elemental burst, they added Furina, which on elemental skill applies Hydro, and on her burst literally drains health, which is exactly what all Hu Tao players wanted and needed for all this time. And now we finally got it. We also got brand new artifact sets, like Vermilion Hereafter, which increase characters' damage upon changing your HP. For example, the perfect utilization would be with Zhao, as he loses HP every second, so because the main way to use Zhao is just through his burst, through which he would get buffs constantly with Vermilion Hereafter, and get all the stacks with no problems. So as Hu Tao hasn't evolved enough already because of the double Hydro buff, which turned to be broken for Hu Tao, like 25% HP is absolutely massive for a character that fully scales of HP and is now as strong as DPS for a long time, which might have changed due to Dendro stuff, but that doesn't change the fact that Hu Tao still hits hard. Now let's move to the other teams, New Millet teams. One of the most popular teams in Spiral Abyss is New Millet, Furina, Kazu of course, and Baiju. But it's not only Hu Tao team that gets massively buffed, because of Furina there's a bunch of other teams. For example, you could just casually go for Furina National, which would be Child, Bennett, Zhangling, and either Sucrose if you don't have Kazuha, or you would just go the real way and use Kazuha. Switch Child with Furina and you'll be good. Furina will probably not do as much damage as Child would, because he's sort of a DPS. Actually, he's here just to allow Zhangling to do damage. Slap good artifacts on your Zhangling, slap energy recharge on your Bennett, let Furina be your enabler for Zhangling to turn through the Abyss. And Furina's domination doesn't stop there. If you've seen 4.2 Abyss, you probably noticed that it's hard, which is of course to be expected because every Abyss gets harder. So you've got massive changes to Vaporize teams. We can just add Furina to our teams for the Abyss, even if it's not based on Hydro, for example Mono Animal with Zhao. And we can also just go for Mono Hydro with New Millet and let Furina buff him, which is nice to have, always good to have another buffer in the team for your main DPS. But currently in Genshin meta, somehow Dendro always seems to find a place, specifically Hyper Bloom, which I believe is the most efficient form of using Dendro. So now instead of going for classic Hyper Blooms like with Xingqiu and Yelan, you also get to buff your damage with Furina. My favorite way to play Hyper Bloom is just to go with full EM Raiden, Nahida, and usually Xingqiu if he's available in the team, and then dependable on the Abyss just throw in like Zhongli, something to do more damage, or Venti for crowd control. So now in Yelan's or Xingqiu's place comes Furina, which not only applies Hydro with her elemental skill as well as Xingqiu does through his elemental burst, but she also through her elemental burst buffs the damage of all characters in your team. So not only did she get most broken feature in Hydro characters as her elemental skill, but she also got the ability to buff the entire team through her elemental bursts. And she just happens to be Hydro, which currently is the best element in the game, because name me one team that doesn't require Hydro. Freeze comes with Ayaka and Ganyu, you need Hydro. Vaporize with Kitao, or national/international teams with Jungling and Bennett, you need Hydro. Throughout this new meta with Dendro, where you specifically want to Hyper Bloom or Burgeon or whatever, you need Hydro. So it seems like whoever truly knew what they were doing when they added Furina Teams. And honestly, in my opinion, I would argue that she's the best Archon by now, because your teams generally can work without other Archons. For example, Raiden really works in Raiden teams only, which are like what? If you use Eula, if you go for Raiden National, and if you want to build her as Hyper Carry, that's only when Raiden works. Zhongli of course has to come in conversation as the best shield of Genshin Impact, but with a bunch of healers in the game which function well now actually, one might argue that shield is not as important and Geo is really a dead element, where only Zhongli is used frequently. Ventis crowd control is pretty much dying because not a lot of enemies can be sucked in his tornado. And while Nahida might be a great character and arguably the best Dendro, there's still quite a lot of Dendro characters you cannot always rely on. But the case with Hydro characters, always need them. There's never enough of those. Basically all the teams that you would make would require at least one Hydro character, if not two. So sometimes it can be quite a struggle to make your best team. Talk less about the second team. So just having a character as broken as Furina can really lift you to new heights. But let me know what you guys think about our beloved Hydro Archon. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like and a comment, and see you in the next one. Goodbye.